Hello, I'm Commissioner Nancy Jester, and welcome to Nancy Jester Reports for Tuesday, June 5th, 2018. So today, your Board of Commissioners met in the Committee of the Whole to receive presentations, go over our agenda, and then we had our committee meetings. Before I get into what we did in our meeting and our subsequent committee meetings, I do want to make a few announcements. We are looking at having a SPLOST meeting for our SPLOST planning, which the Board of Commissioners is still working on Friday, the 15th of June. So put that in your calendars. Our next Committee of the Whole is going to be a night meeting. I apologize, I don't have the date right in front of me, but the next Committee of the Whole, I think that's the 19th, but I'll verify. And the meeting that we have currently scheduled for Tuesday, the 3rd of July, because that's right there at the holiday and people are often on vacations and traveling, we are going to move that to Thursday, June 28th. So if you're interested in coming to meetings, the one that would be scheduled for July 3rd, due to the holiday, we're going to move it to Thursday, June 28th. So I'm going to jump into a committee meeting for a second and then get back to our board meeting and the other committee meetings. So today is one of the committees that meets on this particular Tuesday is the Employee Relations and Public Safety Committee. We call that the ERPS Committee. And we do a lot of work in committees, as I've discussed with you in the past. Today we had a couple of things that were of interest, I think, in that committee, one of which is we've had issues recently in social media and in the press, people having issues with the response times of the EMS, Emergency Medical Services, and ambulance transport. That is a third-party service that DeKalb contracts out for. There was a time in the county when it was in-house. It is now contracted, as it is in a lot of places, so that's very common. We are having some response time issues with AMR, the contractor, and they're actually the largest provider of ambulance services in the nation. I think there's a lot of variables that are going into ambulance and EMS services nationally, statewide, and certainly right here. So we're dealing with that. This is the last year of that contract, and we are looking to study the issue so that when we put our RFP out this year and we contract new services, that we get a better build of a contract, a better understanding, so that the metrics and the results from the contract are better for all of DeKalb County. So we went over some of the timeline for the RFP process, some of the consultant work that we expect to get done, and when we expect to make an award. So basically this takes us through most of this year because we want to do a consultant study. The department wants to do a consultant study this summer, getting the bid on the street by the fall, and making an award by the first quarter of next year. There will be some new features in the contract, and one of the things I want to going back right now, the committee chairwoman of that committee, Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson, did question why we're late in the RFP process. She would like to have seen this sooner. Her committee has been working on this, so I want to make sure to make everyone aware that this is an issue that we have been discussing. And we talked about the fines. I asked about the collection of the fines, and did we think as a county if they were going to have to be litigated, basically, to collect. And that is certainly a very likely possibility, as is often the case in these types of contractual disputes, because AMR is disputing some of the fines that we've given them, and it will probably end up having some sort of legal settlement, but so says the interim county attorney. Anyway, so we're working on that. I want to let you know that I had invited folks down from the city of Dunwoody if they could make it, if they can come to future meetings. The next one's on the 19th. Happy to host them. And in fact, the electeds couldn't join us, but the police chief from Dunwoody did come, and I brought him to the table. We asked for his input. We asked if there was anything specifically we could be doing right now. He didn't have any particular items that we could be doing right now. Commissioner Davis Johnson did ask him about some of the new enhanced things that AMR is supposed to be doing in Dunwoody. Has that made a difference? And they don't quite have the data yet on that. So he did say he thought maybe doing the district in different areas, having more than one particular ambulance service provide service, maybe that would be something that we should look at. And of course, that's all going to be part of our RFP process. So it was good to see Chief Krogan at our ERPS meeting here in Decatur, so I thank him for coming. And as always, I want to extend invitations to certainly any of the citizens to come to our committee meetings and any of the electeds, because we do much of our work and have many of our discussions in committee. And if you are an official from the city, we will bring you to the table and make you part of the conversation. So come be part of the solution. So with that, I will say we went on in our main meeting today. We received a quarterly briefing from MARTA. And this was the first time, I believe, the new director of MARTA came and introduced himself, and the new general manager, I should say. And his name is Jeff Parker, and he came from, he was the Commissioner of Transportation for Connecticut. He was a former senior director in the past at MARTA, and he was the operations director for MBTA in Boston. So he has great experience, and he did a briefing for us today. We also got a briefing on the master plan for the airport, PDK Airport, which is right there at Districts 1 and 2. Some of the airport is in District 1, some in District 2, so we went over this. We will be putting together a committee of people, citizens who are going to be on the master plan committee. So if you're interested in that, certainly ping me, send me an email. I get a couple of appointments to that particular advisory group. Let's see. We went over our agenda. It was pretty straightforward. Lots of things, procurement items going to the various committees of jurisdiction. And as I told you, the ERPS committee met. We did discuss the EMS RFP timeline. This was that. We also discussed recruitment of police officers, and we went into that as well in the ERPS committee. The committees I sit on, the Finance, Audit, and Budget Committee and Public Works Committee met today as well. So let's go over the Finance Committee first. That met first. We went over the purchasing audit findings for, I believe this was for our low bid procurement processes. So we went over that. The Office of the Independent Auditor has finished the audit and made his findings and recommendations. So much like some of our other procurement audits, documentation is an issue. So they're working on fixing those problems. And one of the things I'm doing in the Finance Committee is now quarterly we will get a master spreadsheet. It's going to look like this actually, because this is a template of all of our audits, the recommendations, management's response to the recommendations, and the follow-up, because our auditor will do a 6-month follow-up. So all the audits will be on this master spreadsheet, and as the recommendations are implemented, then that recommendation will fall off. But we'll continue to track each and every recommendation of the independent auditor through the Finance Committee so that we can make sure that we are implementing these things and understand who owns the responsibility to fix these issues in DeKalb. So that was the big thing we talked about. Let's see. We had a couple of procurement issues for things, and we talked about 2 policies as well. The debt management policy and the investment policy. We are almost completely done with those. We will probably have one more round of committee meetings about them, and then we'll pass them as a whole board. But these are 2 policies we didn't have, and so now we will have best practices and guidelines, really a tool for us to use in DeKalb County on those issues. We had our Public Works Committee meeting today. We went over capital projects, our fog ordinance for fats, oils, and grease, and we got a report from Georgia Tech on some pro bono work they were doing to study fog and fog ordinance and so on. Had some procurement issues for basic commodities, and talked about a little bit about bond refinancing. And that's it. I know this is kind of a long update, but we had a very productive day today at your Board of Commissioners meeting, so I wanted to let you know. So stay tuned for next week when we will come back with another edition of Nancy Jester Reports. And until then, have a great week.